When I'm training, I always listen to music. For the gym, it's hip-hop. For cross-country, classical. And for jumps, I need something special. So I use my Citi Thank You Visa card for music downloads and earn 2 times the points. Plus, a little extra inspiration.
Excuse me while I kiss this guy.
The Citi Thank You Preferred Visa card. Earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. Citi, with you every step of the way.
Hi, my name is Robert Bassank. I drove the Ford F-150.
Hi, my name is Burnell, and I was blown away by Ford.
Hi, my name is Marcus, and Ford surprised me with how nice the F-150s look.
My name is Chandler, and Ford's killing the game right now. That's all I can say. That truck over there, it's bigger, it's fatter, it's better, and it's going to be mine.
The style of the new models, it just looks mean and elegant at the same time. The driving is great, but the inside and the outside has the best look of all the Fords so far.
I love Ford because Ford's the best.
Listen up! Ready? Ready. Steady. Go!
More than a movie. It's now a ride. Let's go! Fast and Furious, supercharged. Ride it at Universal Studios Hollywood.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven ultra-lipo-stick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on ultra-lipo-stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using ultra-lipo-stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra-lipo-stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used ultra-lipo-stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra-lipo-stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra-lipo-stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
Coolest, most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is still not big government or bust, and I know this to be a fact because I checked again today. Speaking of today, it is Friday, the end of the week, April the 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2015. It is Good Friday for those of you who believe in the good word and the good book. It is the beginning of Passover, all sorts of interesting things for this weekend. It's not called, well, a lot of Christians don't call it Easter anymore. They call it Resurrection Sunday and Resurrection Weekend. But for those of you who do not believe in such things, it is, commonly referred to as Easter. Easter Sunday, Easter weekend, that type of thing. The number that you can call this evening is 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. I will be happy to put you on the air with me if I happen to see you flash across my board, my screen. You got a lot to go over with tonight. You got 2 hours with me here on the CPR network. Glad to be back here again. Hopefully, we will be able to pull this off with not a single glitch. Hopefully my learning curve over here using their system is done and over, and I've gotten past being a little bit ignorant of their system. Yeah, and it's quite all right. And I know some people are probably thinking, did he just say he was ignorant? Look, I know when I don't know something. That is when you don't know something. That's just called being ignorant of that particular subject. Does not mean you're stupid. Because you can erase ignorance simply through education. Just learn about it. So in order to erase my ignorance of the way they do things here at this network on their board and their system, is just to learn about it. And then I won't be ignorant about it anymore. That's pretty clear. I don't know how much more clear I can be about that. But anyway, we are here up here in New Hampshire, which was a beautiful day. I think we hit a high of like 62 degrees. It was, walking around when the sun was shining, it almost felt like you were, it was like summer. It felt that warm because we had such a cold winter. The funny thing is that I was actually outside barefoot today. Now, for those of you who do not know, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into me. I don't like wearing socks. And I'm not a big person that gets into shoes. I don't, especially during the summer months, I don't like to wear shoes, and I don't like to wear socks. So today I was actually outside barefoot, and the ground was extremely warm. And I noticed that, I have flowers coming up. Crocus are starting to pop through. And some other bulbs that were planted last fall looks like they're starting to pop up, like tulips and stuff. But definitely a couple of the crocus already have little tiny flowers that are in bloom. And if you listened to my show last night, you heard me talk all about my love of crocus. They're beautiful little flowers. And they definitely usher in a sign of spring. And since they're popping up here in front of my house, then that must mean that spring is here. I hope this is not Mother Nature. It's going to be another a joke from Mother Nature, but we will have to wait and see as the month of April goes on. In any case, there's a lot happening in the news today that happened yesterday. I know the Iranian deal. Look, it's funny. People are now, because I'm starting to be syndicated. By the way, you can also read my articles and columns going all over the place. And next week, I will be able to announce most likely some big website news organizations that will be carrying my post. Yours truly, that's right. And so look for that next week, that announcement next week. It's going to be, I'm excited about it. So I am a published author. I was before this, but now in the political realm, I'm a published author, which means that whatever I'm saying, I must be on the right track, because these publications out there would not be publishing my stuff if they thought I was a nut. So obviously, they don't think I'm a nut, so they're publishing it. I still find it amazing that somebody else actually wants to read what I wrote on a subject, that I'm versed in, because I'm not going to write about something I don't know about, but that people would actually be willing to want to read it. And if you want to know more about, you want to read some of my writings, just head over to rodeccles.net, RODECCLES.net, and you'll get more than an eyeful. Speaking of which, that website is going to be blowing up, and what I mean by blowing up is going to be massive pretty soon. We're just adding stuff to it constantly and preparing stuff that is going to be added to it. You're going to want to go there every day. Yeah, except for the weekend, because I won't be, doing much to update it on the weekend, because, it's the weekend. I like to have fun, too. I mean, I like to go out and, I have friends. I know some people may not think that I do, but I do have friends. I have some close friends, some good friends, a lot of friends, actually, that I hang out with on a regular basis. I have no problem having friends, hanging out with friends, so... And that's what makes life worthwhile, is family and friends. That's what make life. But you really can't do it too well or too easily unless you have the ability to do so. And one of the ways that you have the ability to do so is to be financially secure, at least in such a manner that you can carry on a lifestyle that you wish to carry on. You don't have to live a subsistence lifestyle on a daily basis. And that's one great thing about this country, that if you work hard, work smart, you won't be subsisting, but you'll be able to enjoy your life, on more than just the weekend. I know a lot of people, they work really hard during the week, and they look forward. It's a sad thing that you work 5 days. You spend 7 days. You have 7 days in a week, so you spend 5 days out of 7 looking forward to only 2. That's no way to live. And you live in a nation, the United States of America, where you don't have to deal with that. You can figure out a way to move away from the 5 days of labor and make it 5 days of fun. You can find a job or an occupation or a livelihood or a way to make a living for that over the 5 days that you work doing it, you have fun. In fact, you may have so much fun that you do it for 6 or 7 days in the week. You're not looking forward to just 2 days. A lot of people are doing that. And it doesn't necessarily take a lot of money, because some people, they so thoroughly enjoy their occupation that they don't care that they're only making $30,000 a year. You may have that thought, but you have the ability and the freedom so far in this country to pursue that, if you so desire. You also have the ability that if you want to make your wildest dreams come true and become a multi-millionaire, you can do that too. You can, you can go and play the lottery and win it. Not likely. You could. But even with our tax system as it is now, even when you win the lottery, you still have the ability to do with whatever you want with your winnings. You could start the business that you've always wanted to start. You can invest in another business that you've always wanted to invest in. Or you could do nothing and just, spend it for the rest of your life. A lot of lottery winners do, and they end up going broke a lot sooner than they expected. But that's just up to you. You can give it to your church. No, you could give half your winnings to your church if you so desire. You have the ability and the right and the freedom to do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, we may question why you would want to do such a thing, but people do it all the time, and you might even have to live up to the fact that some people might call you an idiot. Especially if you belong to if you want to give to Creflo Dollar's church, the guy who wants to buy a $65 million jet for the church now, for the church. But you could do that if you want to, because you have the freedom to do so. What you don't have the freedom to do is to give to organizations that subvert or are enemies of this nation. No, you don't have the right to do that. You don't have the freedom to do that. And you shouldn't. Why should the rest of us allow you to undermine what we like? If you don't like the United States, I said it before, get the F out. Go. Leave. Bye. You won't be missed. Plain and simple. This is why I don't want to fundamentally change this country. I just had a conversation about that word fundamentally. And the problem with that word is that most Americans don't understand it. And I talk to people and I say that Obama does not like this country. Well, how can you say that, Rod? Because he said in his speeches, especially a lot in his first term and before his first term, when he was trying to be elected to his first term, that he wanted to fundamentally change his country. And I said, you do not fundamentally change something that you love. And they look at me like, well, no, he just wants to make good changes. No, you misconstrued and misunderstand the meaning of the word fundamentally. Fundamental. That means a complete change. In other words, shredding the Constitution and starting over with whatever Barack Hussein Obama thinks is best. That's a fundamental change. That is a paradigm shift. I'm sure if he would have said he wanted to have a paradigm shift of this nation and he was going to be the instigator of such, a lot of people probably would have said, oh, no, because, they kind of understand what paradigm is, but they lost the meaning of fundamental, and that is simply because we go back to the Clinton administration, who decided to change the definition of the word of is. It all depends what the definition of the word is. Well, it only has one definition. You can't change that definition just because it doesn't fit what you want to do right now. And they've been doing that ever since. And I might add the left has been successful at changing the definitions or watering down the definitions of words constantly. They're bringing colloquial speak into mainstream and into politics, and they're expecting you to follow along, so that when you say fundamentally, they can honestly try to trick you by saying, well, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Well, yes, it does, because politicians know the words that they're using, and they know what the words mean. They also know that you probably don't. And so they can't be accused of lying when they use certain words, because they're telling the truth. Only you have the wrong perception of what they're saying. And if we have the wrong perception, if we misconstrued the perception that they actually have, it's not their fault. Even if they do it on purpose. It's our fault for not paying attention and actually finding out exactly what they mean. You see, I always put personal responsibility back on what? Who? The individual, because personal responsibility means what? Personal. Individual. We all are personally responsible, not only for ourselves, but for our government. Government is not responsible for government, because this is government for the people, of the people, by the people. We are the government. We're responsible for it. Nobody else. So we're responsible because we're the ones walking into those booths, pulling those levers or checking off those names, or however method that your precinct uses for voting. We're the ones casting the vote. We're the ones responsible for our vote. Nobody else is responsible for our vote. Each one of us is responsible for our vote. Plain and simple. Now, some people might want to try to blast you and bash you over the head into thinking the way that they think that you should be thinking. You should leave your religion at home. It should not be brought into the public square, which is a bunch of BS, because you are who you are and your religion is a part of you. You cannot separate the two. Any more than you can tell a liberal, hey, your religion is humanism and environmentalism, so why don't you separate yourself from that when you're in the public square? No, we can't separate who we are. But you're expecting a Christian or a Jew to do that. You're expecting them to leave their beliefs at home when they go to work, when they go to a government office, when they own a business. They're expected to leave that belief at home as well. No, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to cater to everybody's wants and whims in your business. You're not supposed to have, a thought about what people do when they come into your business. It's none of your business what they're doing. And here's something from the Washington Post. Schwarzenegger, the governor, he wrote a post, an article for the Washington Post. Now, I thought Arnold was a conservative. Well, he spent too much time around that Kennedy clan. And in California, they corrupted him. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember Arnold when he first ran for governor, when the California governor resigned in shame, and he was sounding like a true conservative Republican, and everybody's like, hey, yeah, let's get Arnold, man. This is the man. He's going to straighten things. Even some liberals out there thought that this was the right guy for the job. And then I think he got into office, and he just got beat up. And he got tired. And I think his family, the Shriver and the Kennedy clan, they beat up on him too. And I think that wore on him. And now he's some moderate, the Terminator is now some sort of wimpy, mushy, limp-wristed type of wimpy rhino. But here he is writing an article for the Washington Post. He says, Indiana's religious freedom law is bad for Republicans. How is it bad for Republicans? It's the same dang law that Bill Clinton signed into law back in 93. It's the same law that some 28 to 30 other states already have on the books, including Connecticut. You know, the one where the Connecticut governor said that he was having a boycott of sending state employees to Indiana. They couldn't go anymore on Connecticut's dime. That's a little hypocritical, don't you think, Governor? But he says, well, he's a California guy. Can't help himself, I guess. So he's out there thinking that, the best thing to do is not to, for Republicans, not to do certain things like that. Such as, put into laws in a place that the people really want. So, Schwarzenegger is saying, I became a proud Republican before I even understood English. And I said, the moment I became a citizen in 1983, I registered Republican, and I've never thought about checking any other box. I'm proud to be a member of the party of Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, and Ronald Reagan. From the Civil War to the Cold War, their moral vision led this nation to our greatest triumph. So if that's the case, Arnie, why is it so bad? Why is it so bad to be a person who believes that you have the right to choose? Why is it so bad for that? I don't get it. I don't get why they get to espouse on the left, get to espouse their type of religious beliefs and to follow through on them and to back them up even when they're in business, but we don't. I don't get it. I mean, is there something? I don't know. How can I put this so people understand it? Is there something in the water, I guess, that prevents us, just regular everyday folks who are Christian, believe in Christ, who are Christian? Is there something in the water that prevents us, or something in the air that prevents us, just us, from being able to espouse our beliefs even in our own place of work and business, when everybody else gets to do it, but we don't? Is that bad to espouse what you believe if you're a Republican? Why isn't it bad for a liberal? Why isn't it bad for the Democratic Party to have a law that, Republicans possibly don't like? Why isn't it bad for them to put forth? Why is it always up on the conservative to justify their existence? And make no mistake about it, the left really wants us to justify our existence. They do. And they will not stop. They're not stopping. They don't stop. They keep coming at us. And lately, we have just kept, wimping out, and wimping out. We got to stop wimping out.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
people who have had changes in behavior, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, suicidal thoughts, or actions while using the U.S. government. Some people had these symptoms when they began a phone call or verbal discourse with the U.S. government, and others developed them after several weeks of interaction, but have improved after stopping for 2 or more days. If you or your family notice agitation, hostility, depression, or changes in behavior, thinking, or mood that are not typical for you, or you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, anxiety, panic, aggression, anger, mania, abnormal sensations, hallucinations, paranoia, or confusion, stop all federal government interactions and definitely do not call your doctor as Obamacare has gone into effect. Also, do not contact the U.S. government if you have any history of depression or other mental health problems, as these symptoms may worsen while trying to get anything done in a timely or efficient manner.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
Come on down to the newest pub in Texas, Rednecks, where our beer kegs are always full. Don't ask what brand it is, because it all tastes like warm piss. So if you're celebrating a special occasion, like marrying your sister,
I do.
I did, or being named Employee of the Month at Walmart, you're going to want to come celebrate with us at Redneck's Bar and Cantina. And remember, every Friday and Saturday, we have our famous tooth contest. Whoever has the most teeth wins a pair of John Deere mud flaps and a buttery corn on the cob. There's plenty of parking space to drive your house over to Redneck's and come on in and have a hell of a time. We're located right next to Big Al's truck stop, right across the street from the KKK headquarters.
Homos and minorities not welcome.
Some political watchers are saying this could be the nastiest, most negative election season of all time.
This campaign season seems like candidates have taken dirty to a whole new level.
When pundits start shouting and politicians start calling each other's names, it can seem like a return to civility is not possible. Like the very idea is a relic of some bygone era.
John Adams is a blind, bald, crippled, toothless man who wants to start a war with France. While he's not busy importing mistresses from Europe, he's trying to marry one of his sons to a daughter of King George. Haven't we had enough monarchy in America?
I'm Thomas Jefferson, and I approve this message because John Adams is a hideous, hermaphroditical character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman.
If Thomas Jefferson wins, murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. The air will be rent with the cries of the distressed, the soil will be soaked with blood, and the nation black with crimes. Are you prepared to see your dwellings in flames, female chastity violated, children writhing on a pike?
I'm John Adams, and I approve this message because Jefferson is the son of a half-breed Indian squaw raised on hoe cakes, and Hamilton is a Creole bastard brat of a Scotch peddler.
The nastiest, most negative election.
Candidates have taken dirty to a whole new
It can
level.
seem like a return to civility is not possible.
And we are back. I am still your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio, and I am firmly ensconced. I know some people ask, do you sit or do you stand? Because it sounds like you're moving around, like you've got a lot of energy, like you're standing up or something. No, I used to have a stand-up desk, and I used to broadcast standing up. But now, simply because the reason why I sit in the Freedom Throne now and broadcast behind the Freedom mic is because I didn't like the way the stand-up desk looked. You call me shallow. Go ahead, call me shallow. I don't care. I didn't like, look, I'm the one that has to look at it every day. I didn't like the way, I didn't mind standing up and doing work standing up. I still had a lot of energy. And if I did want to sit down, I had one of those a tall stool that I could sit down and rest my rump for a few minutes if I so desired, but I barely even used that. But I just didn't like the way my office and the studio looked with a stand-up. Well, it's probably that system, that stand-up system. But I went out and I changed everything. The office furniture. Yeah, I did it because I could. Not because, I know some people are saying, well, that was a waste of money going out there and spending it. I was trying to help the economy. I bought something new. I bought some new office and studio furniture because I needed to replace the stuff that was geared towards standing up, and I had to replace it with stuff that's geared towards sitting down. So I bought it because I could. I don't know why people have a problem with that. It's pretty interesting that people have, they have a problem with you living your life in an area or in areas that have nothing to do with them and does not affect them one iota. It's amazing that people like to tell me how I should live my life. And I'm sure you probably get the same thing that, especially liberals, well, you probably shouldn't buy that. Why not? I can afford it. Well, yeah, but you don't need it. Well, who cares if I need it or not? I want it, and I can afford it. So I'm going to get it. And you need to mind your business. Mind your business. It's amazing. It's really, the left always tells us that, well, we shouldn't care what people do in their own bedrooms. But they're the first ones that tell you how to live your life and what you're doing wrong. That isn't affecting anybody else because, hey, what somebody does in their bedroom doesn't affect you, so it's none of your business. But hey, everything that you want to tell me to do or how to live my life, somehow you find a way that says that it affects you. Like, I don't really want to have traditional health insurance. Well, you got to have it because everybody has to participate and everybody has to pay into this system. So everybody has a fair shot at getting fair and equal health care. Well, my not having insurance that you want me to have doesn't affect somebody else getting health care. It does not. And my not wearing a seatbelt when I'm driving around town does not affect the other drivers. I can see it now. I'm driving around in Massachusetts and I forget to put on my seatbelt. I can see it now. All the other drivers like, oh my God, that driver over there, he doesn't have a seatbelt on. Watch out for him. And causes everybody to run off the road or have accidents because I'm not wearing my seatbelt. But see, they want to tell you, and then you decide that you don't want to earn money from a particular person because you just don't want to do business with them. But it's not affecting anybody. They could go somewhere else and get it and have their business needs or whatever taken care of. Hey, the pizza. You walk into a pizza parlor and say, yes. We would like you to cater. I don't know why you'd want a pizza party for your wedding, but we would like you to cater our wedding. Yes, we're gay. And the person behind the counter says, well, we're happy for you, but, we happen to believe that that's not the type of lifestyle we want to support, so we would have to decline your business. And rightfully, what that potential customer should do would say, okay, it's your loss because it's going to be a big party and it's going to be lots of pizza. We'll go to the other pizza store and get their pizzas. And you'll miss out on like $500 worth of pizza. That's the interaction that should happen. But instead it's, what do you mean you won't sell me your pizza? I'm going to force you to sell me your pizza. Because I want your pizza.
And especially since you hate me, I really want your pizza. And when I get your pizza, I'm going to spit on your pizza and stomp on your pizza. I would never allow your pizza in my wedding now.
That's how they react. But if you flip it around, hey, I'm wanting you to write down on a t-shirt that Allah is great, that Islam is great, and that homosexuals are terrible. I want that on a t-shirt. I'm sorry, sir, but we're gay and we own this t-shirt shop. We can't do that for you.
But you prevented law that says you can do that. So you cannot do that. You must do what I ask you to do because I'm going to pay you. Well, we don't want to do that.
Well, sure, when it's the other flipped around on them, then it's different. Oh, then they have every right to refuse. But if you refuse based on your beliefs, then there's something wrong with you. I probably shouldn't have used that accent, should I? I'm probably going to have the... will there be a fatwa put on me now for exposing Islam as being anti-gay? Probably not. They agree with me that gay's gay bad, gay real bad. Now I'm not saying that because personally I and this is another thing. A lot of people think that conservatives, we're all about being up in your business because we want to know what you're doing in your bedroom. We don't care. Constitutional conservatives don't care. I do not care who you think that you love. I don't care. Well, as long as it's another human being. When you go to animals, sorry, not getting into that. No, not going to happen. No interspecies mingling. Not for that. But if you're a guy and you want to love another guy, fine. If you're a girl and you want to love another girl, great. If you want to be in a now this is not marriage, but if you want to be in one of those, triangle relationships where there's three of you that claim that you love each other, fine. That's in your house. That's in your bedroom. I don't care. Just don't try to force the rest of normal society. Yeah, and I said normal. To just don't try to force us to accept your way and make it mainstream, because it's not. Mainstream is man and woman walking down the aisle. One man, one woman walking down the aisle. That's normal. Everything else outside of that is alternative. Alternative doesn't walk down the aisle. Sorry. But we shouldn't be saying that it's illegal, but we also shouldn't be forced to support something that we don't like. Well, Rod, what if people don't like you because you're black? Or you're part Native American? What if they don't want that? Huh? Then you're saying they have the right to refuse you? Huh? Do they? Huh? And I always shock people by saying, yes. And they always look at me like I have two heads and... Well, let's look at it logically. Why would I want to give my hard-earned money to somebody who hates me for whatever reason, who then has the potential of taking my money that I give them? And sure, it's in return for a service or product, but they take the money that I spend in their store and turn around and give it to an organization that actively pursues policy against me. Let me clear this up for you. You're gay. You walk into that Christian-owned pizza shop, and you force them to make you pizza. So they make you enough pizzas where you give them $100. Now let's say their profit on that is $50 after paying, whatever it costs to make the pizza. Let's just say it's $50, 50%. So then that Christian guy turns around and gives that $50 profit to an anti-gay ministry. Is that what you want? You want to be funding that anti-gay ministry if you're gay? Well, of course you don't. But that's exactly what you're doing and the potential that you're doing by forcing somebody to accept. Look, you can't force anybody to accept you. You can't force anybody to accept you. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, period. You can't force them to accept you. And speaking of that pizza shop, well, there's an online campaign, and last check, I checked early this morning, and it was like almost $750,000. But now it looks like the campaign raises over $841,000 for this Christian-owned pizzeria. Now, understand, that is probably equal to the amount of their entire year's gross sales. Now, I don't know how large, this pizza shop is or how much business they do, but I have worked for a couple of pizza parlors in my time, and I could, they'll do anywhere between $750,000 to $1.2 million for one shop. That's gross. They're not making $1.2 million and taking it home, putting it in the bank. They have expenses, but their gross sales can be around there. So this pizza shop, they're probably on the average side. And this is that amount probably exceeds their gross operating sales for an entire year. But this has nothing to do with them actually selling pizza. So they're going to get, nearly $1 million. By the time this is all over, I would be willing to bet that this by the time this campaign is done, it's going to be $1 million. So again, by trying to force these people into doing something, have you won anything? Did you win? Do you have a victory in your hands? Do you feel good about trying to force somebody out of making an honest living? Seriously, that's what it is. Do you really want to, be responsible for forcing somebody onto maybe welfare? Think about that for a second. Do you want to well, I shouldn't really say that because, liberals like that kind of stuff. They like putting people in that type of a position in welfare because they have control over those kinds of people. And I know I just said those kinds of people, but hey, it is what it is, right? We're talking about making people dependent on government simply because you didn't like their politics or their beliefs. And there are people that may not like your politics or beliefs so much, especially up in it's usually liberals that do this. 99% of the time, it's a liberal who doesn't like your politics or your beliefs, and they will be physical in their response to their disdain for you. And this is something that happened in my own backyard up here in New England, and this is actually a political story, but an state of Maine lawmaker who happens to be a Democrat throws a jar of Vaseline at Republican governor of Maine, Paul LePage. Now, I kid you, you can't make this stuff up. The woman threw a jar of Vaseline at her governor. Maine Governor Paul LePage had a town hall meeting. And the town hall meeting was based on the state's budget. But it came to an abrupt end last night after a former state representative interrupted him and tossed a jar of Vaseline in his general direction. That's right. Former Democratic state representative Joanne Twomey, Twomey, shouted at LePage during a question and answer session. I guess, he wasn't answering the questions to her liking. But he during the question and answer session, she shouted at him, according to a CBS affiliate, and then threw the Vaseline container on the stage as security personnel escorted her out of the room. And she said, "Yeah, oh yes, I threw the jar at the stage, at the governor. Yeah, too bad it didn't break open and get all over him." No, I added that part. Now, she did serve in the Maine House of Representatives from 1998 to 2006. So it's not like she doesn't know how to conduct herself. But she had such Now, when was the last time? Now, let's be honest. When was the last time you heard of a conservative throwing a jar of Vaseline at anybody? Any politician. If that happened, that would make the major news networks and be the lead story for a week. And then you'd have all kinds of, all the talk shows, all the liberal talk shows out there, trying to dissect, the mentality and the personality of the person who threw the jar. I mean, they'd be going at it left and right for 5 days over the next week and trying to determine exactly what was wrong with this conservative throwing a jar of Vaseline at a Democratic governor. And yes, they obviously, they're just so rude, and they're so full of anger. And they don't know how to express that anger in a proper manner. But this barely makes a blip anywhere. You got to find this in Politico. Surprised they even printed it, actually. So here this woman is. She goes to a town hall style meeting where the governor is trying to explain to his constituents, all the people of Maine, things about the state budget. And she feels that it was necessary to interrupt the education of everybody in the room, and because you're going to have news crews there, obviously, and preventing the journalists from printing stories that would educate the masses that weren't in the room about the state budget, why he wants this and why he doesn't want that, and why this costs this and why that costs. No, that didn't matter to her. She was just mad at him. And because she was mad at him, she was going to interrupt him and throw a jar of Vaseline at him. Now, she says if people thought the Vaseline was out of line, I'm sorry, but he is out of line with what he is going to do to the people of Maine. Well, the people of Maine elected him, just like the people of the United States elected Obama. So what he's going to do is the responsibility of all the people of Maine, not just one Vaseline jar toting. I don't know. Maybe they should start saying that Vaseline should be listed as a dangerous weapon. I don't know, but she said, according to the Portland Press Herald, according to that report, Twomey was handcuffed and removed from a 1992 Biddeford City Council meeting. But the charges of criminal trespass were later dropped. She said she picked Vaseline to throw at the Republican governor because of comments he made back in 2013. It's now 2015. About Democratic State Senator Troy Jackson. Now, he said, Senator Jackson claims to be for the people. This is what she says that the governor said. Senator Jackson claims to be for the people, but he's the first one to give it to the people without providing Vaseline. LePage said that at the time, adding that Jackson is a bad person with no brains and a black heart. And if Jackson is a Democrat, the governor is probably right on the mark. And look, we got Obamacare, and Obama didn't give the people any Vaseline. They just rammed it where. But you don't see any Republicans out there going to presidential town halls and tossing jars of Vaseline. You don't see them tossing anything. Hell, you barely see them even protest. Yeah, and that scares the left. When the right actually does protest, that scares the hell out of the left. And of course, when the right does protest something, especially the Tea Party, those are just evil, crazy people. They don't know what they're doing. There's no way in hell we should be trusting the Tea Party. I mean, those people are just crackpots. They're lunatics. They're right-wing radical fringe. You can't pay attention to the Tea Party. Why? Because the Tea Party is on the right, and they actually had rallies to protest what was going on in government. Because only the left is allowed to do that. But again, hey, the right and the Tea Party, they're not going out murdering people. You're not finding people dead at Tea Party rallies. They're not squatting on other people's property and creating a mess and filth and all that kind of stuff. There aren't drugs being passed around and used at Tea Party events. But hey, we, the Tea Partiers, the ones on the right, the constitutional conservatives, we're the nut jobs, according to them. That should somehow be stopped by all means possible, including possibly, sending militarized police after us. This is their thought. They've even said it. They're making no bones about it, folks. They're the ones constantly throwing the jars of Vaseline our way. And when we even look like we're going to throw that jar back, oh my gosh, you would think the end of the world was coming. You would think that it's just, we're supposed to sit back, be good little people, and take it. Just like Democrats believe that blacks should be thankful and grateful that Democrats want to take care of them. This is why when you step off that liberal plantation, they look at you with like you have two heads and they seethe. They're seething. You see the horns pop out and you see the steam coming out of their skulls, and they call you all kinds of names like Uncle Tom. Self-hater. You sell out. How dare you think for yourself? It's basically what they're saying. Yeah, they're throwing jars of Vaseline at me. But do I pick up those jars and throw them back? No. And most Republicans, most conservatives do not throw them back. We don't do the same things that they do. We don't spend a week at a time or more, flooding the streets and demanding that somebody pay for us. No, not at all. We're the ones that actually go to work. We're the ones that actually pay the taxes. We're the ones that actually try to hold people accountable on both sides of the political aisle. We're the ones that really care about the other person, about our fellow man, our fellow American. We're the ones that would lay down our lives to defend even the most stupid, most radical of leftists, to spew their hate, because we believe in free speech, we believe in a free society, and we believe in government not telling people what they can and cannot say. The left cannot claim that.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls. And oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
When I'm training, I always listen to music. For the gym, it's hip-hop. For cross-country, classical. And for jumps, I need something special. So I use my Citi Thank You Visa card for music downloads and earn 2 times the points. Plus, a little extra inspiration.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
The Citi Thank You Preferred Visa card. Earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. Citi, with you every step of the way.
Hi, my name is Robert Bassank. Enjoy the Ford F-150.
Hi, my name is Brunel, and I was blown away by Ford.
Hi, my name is Marcus, and Ford surprised me with how nice the F-150s look.
My name is Chandler, and Ford's killing the game right now. That's all I can say. That truck over there, it's bigger, it's better, and it's going to be mine.
The style of the new models, it just looks mean and elegant at the same time. The driving is great, but the inside and the outside has the best look of all the Fords so far.
I love Ford because Ford's the best.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven ultra-lipostick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra Lipostick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra Lipostick, not available in stores. Results may vary.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Hello, my fellow Americans. Yes, it is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great Granite State of New Hampshire. It is hour number 2 as we roll along here on this Good Friday evening, April the 3rd in the year of our Lord 2015, as I continue to broadcast from the wonderful Granite State. By the way, I did check early today. The state motto is still live free or die. It is not yet big government or bust. The number that you can call this evening if you wish to actually talk to your wonderful host. I won't bite. Even if you're a liberal, I won't bite hard. The number is 603, and it's toll-free, by the way, 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. I do welcome calls every now and then, especially when, I have little to say. But that's not the case tonight. I have a lot to say, and I don't think I'm going to cover everything. I hardly ever do, especially when I get on a rant. I know some people think, well, all you do is rant. No, I don't rant. And look, I haven't ranted yet tonight. You'll know, for all the new listeners out there, if you're listening to this other than on VTR, for all my new listeners, you will know when I'm on a rant. Anybody ever watch you remember the show Designing Women? Now, I have to admit, I thought that show was hilarious. I liked it. I still catch it every once in a while, and they have it on replays on one of the cable channels. I like Designing Women, and I like Dixie Carter's character. Because when she got on a roll, on a rant, with that Atlanta Southern Belle accent, I thought it was hilarious. But she was right. Even though it was kind of left-leaning, but when she got on the type of rants and rolls that she got on, she was right. So I don't see a problem with somebody who's right when they're ranting. Yeah, it's kind of nice, because you kind of like, yeah, preach it, sister, preach it. Yeah, there you go. Amen. Hallelujah. Yeah, preach it. You kind of like you're in a black church and you're about to fall out and everything, and have to have the church nurse come and pick you up and give you some air and oxygen, all that kind of stuff. That's what it's like. So when it comes to me ranting, that's what it's like. You're going to feel it. It's like I'm taking you to church. Taking you to church. And I haven't ranted tonight, so you're gonna have to listen every night to see when I rant, and you will know when I rant. So I don't rant all the time. I'm just here talking and giving you the information and telling you what I think about it, and what I think is usually right. I'm almost always right. And I'm almost always right, not because I think so, but simply because I use historical fact and data and logic. And it's hard to be wrong when you do that. It really is. When you don't, some people think that, well, Ron, you just don't have any personal feelings. You have a black heart. Oh, God, you're so evil. No, actually, I have a huge heart. But I do not let emotion dictate policy. Because that's a true sign of disaster waiting to happen right there. You cannot let emotion dictate policy. Now, emotion can be a number of different things. It could be love. It could be fear. It could even be hate. So, do you want fear and hate to dictate policy? Well, I would argue that even except for the 2% of the most radical leftists or 2% of the most radical rightists would not want hate, anger, and fear to dictate policy. It's bad, bad, bad. It never ends well when we do that. It has never ended well in the history of mankind when anybody has made policy based on those types of negative feelings. Even when you're making policy on so-called positive feelings like love, that often doesn't end well. It has to be from a point that is factual and logical and well-reasoned. That's when you make good policy that can last forever. Look, our Constitution is proof positive of something that is, although they did argue, our founding fathers did have heated, passionate arguments about how this country should be framed and how that document, the Constitution, should end up being written and what it should say. They had vehement arguments. They had passionate arguments. But in the end, they allowed fact, reason, and logic to rule the day. And that is the document that we have that stands today. It's still valid. The Constitution is not old and outdated. It is still valid and vibrant even to this day, some 230 plus years later. You know, it's not going to go out of style. Freedom never goes out of style. And those on the left, they're really hypocritical on a number of different areas because they're telling you you're not supposed to have feelings. You're not supposed to feel this way. And if you do feel this way, well, you're just evil, nasty, mean, black-hearted people that should probably be put under the bus and buried and forgotten about. Have you ever noticed that liberals never want to teach you or try to convince you through legitimate discourse why their beliefs and their feelings are the right way to be? Oh, no. They want to shout you down. They want to create laws that try to force you to believe the way they believe. And again, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You may pass a law, but you know what? All that's going to do is drive him underground and make him dangerous. And that's exactly what's happening. And the hypocrisy of the left shows no limits of ending. In fact, here's a particular story that comes from Fox News and on their politics side. There's selective outrage from the top companies that are ripping Indiana about their so-called anti-gay rights, religious freedom law. Now, I don't know how it all of a sudden became about gays when it's talking about people's religious freedom, which is enshrined in the First Amendment in the Constitution. But somehow this law is just this is about anti-gay. We can't have anti-gay. So we have all these wonderful companies that we all know, love, enjoy their products and services that are ripping into Indiana and Arkansas about this religious freedom law. But yet they're reaping huge profits from nations that are kind of brutal towards people. Not to mention, you're talking, the left always talk about these big corporations reaping all these profits and keeping all that money offshore. Hey, Apple's a favorite of the left. You know, every good leftist has Apple products. You know, especially since Tim Cook he's come out, right? He's out as a gay man, right? I do believe I've heard that. I don't believe I'm misinformed in that. I think I've seen it in more than one location. Yeah, Tim Cook. Yeah, he's a proud gay man. Yeah, he loves guys. That's okay for him. I mean, I don't know why it really matters. Because personally, it's like, oh, fine. So he likes guys. Can he run a company? That's the only thing that's important. Can he turn a profit? That's the only thing that's important. You know, it's like, oh my goodness, now I've forgotten the man's name, the gay football star, or I guess he's not a star because he's not in the NFL anymore. We're supposed to feel bad for him because he's gay, he's openly gay, and he's got this wonderful, what do they call it? His boyfriend, some kind of food. What is, I've worked in gay nightclubs as a bouncer, and and straight nightclubs. And let me tell you something about, just as a side note, working in a straight nightclub as a bouncer and working in a gay nightclub as a bouncer. I have to tell you, gay men are a lot more polite than straight men when it comes to drinking and knowing their limits and behaving themselves. That's just my observation, my real world observation, and having to deal with both of them. There were a lot more fights at straight nightclubs that I had to inject myself into to break up because they're happening in the club, and I'm the security, so we can't have fights in the club. But there were a lot more in a straight club. I don't know what that means for young straight men. It means that they need to learn how to behave themselves better, maybe not drink so much. But there's nothing. What it really comes down to, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation. Can you perform the job that somebody wants to hire you to do? That's what counts. But the left wants to make you think, well, no, it's all, if you don't hire him or if you fire him, it's only because of his sexual orientation. No. Is Mr. Cook capable of running Apple and turning a profit and growing the company? That's what's important. At the same time, you have these leftists that want to blast. Apple is one of the most valuable companies on the planet. I mean, their profits are astronomical. But yet, companies like Exxon, they're blasted for making windfall profits. But Apple can make a ton of... I guess even if there was a gay man at the helm of ExxonMobil, they still wouldn't like him because they're oil. And that's not very environmentally friendly. Well, actually, when it comes right down to it, Apple products really aren't that, environmentally friendly because of what their products are and what they're made from and how we have to get the raw materials to make that finished product. Plainly. But we don't hear that kind of stuff from the left about Apple and other left-leaning companies. No. And when it comes to gay rights, and you have Apple and companies like The Gap and Levi's blasting Indiana and Governor Pence in Arkansas for having a religious freedoms law that's already in the books in like 28, 30 other states, and is already on the books on the federal level, signed into law by President Bill Clinton. And we don't hear anybody complaining about that. But as soon as Indiana, we're going to make this, the reason why it's such a big deal is because they turned it around and made it a gay thing or anti-gay thing. But at the same time, these companies, they all do business in nations with abysmal human rights records, especially when it comes to gays. Apple is huge in the Middle East. Somebody want to tell me that where the gay rights are in the Middle East? Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Egypt, Libya, Qatar, Kuwait. What are the rights over there? Syria. What? They still hide. Because if they don't, if they're caught, if they're found out, they're going to be hung or beheaded or thrown in prison for the rest of their life. But hey, Apple does business over there. Openly and willingly. It's not like it's an underground type of thing. It's not like back in the 80s when in the Soviet Union, which we now call Russia, had an underground black market for Levi jeans because Levi's couldn't openly sell their product over there. But if you had a pair of used Levi's, you could probably triple your money if you could somehow get them over to the Soviet Union and sell them over there. A $20 pair of jeans here was going for $100 or more over there. During that time. Because there was no open market. But now that there is. There's an open market in the Middle East for Apple, Levi's, Gap Clothing, and other companies that have come out against Indiana's law. Which is no different from 30 other states' laws and the federal law that was signed by Bill Clinton. Who was a liberal Democrat, by the way, who now has a wife that is out there trying to become the next president of the United States, saying that the Indiana law is terrible, but when asked and questioned about her husband, she will shut up and not answer it, not answer the question. Hypocritical. At best. At best. We can continue with the hypocrisy of the left. Here's a story from the Daily Mail. It's about Michael Jackson's alligators. And you're probably thinking, well, Michael Jackson is dead. He didn't do anything bad. He really tried. Well, I'm not faulting MJ for anything here. And neither is this story. But Michael Jackson's alligators were boiled to death in a zoo fire. Yeah, that's right. And you're not hearing this kind of... I have to go across the pond. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, the pond is... they lovingly refer to the Atlantic Ocean as the pond. I know you probably... Well, a pond is a tiny little body of water that's surrounded by land, and it's not big enough to be a lake. It's just a small body of water. And the Atlantic is a big body of water. I mean, it's huge. It's bigger than a lake, so it can't be a pond. But they do. They call it the pond. And Michael Jackson's alligators. This story, I had to go across the pond to find it. Because of the hypocrisy of the left in this country. I mean, the blatant, pure, unadulterated hypocrisy. Because again, it's do as I say, not as I do. So Michael Jackson's alligators are boiled to death, and you're probably saying, well, how is that hypocrisy? Well, here's, as Paul Harvey says, the rest of the story. They're boiled to death in the zoo fire set by animal rights activists. As a matter of fact, 8 animals total are dead, including at least one alligator that once belonged to Michael Jackson, after a fire last week in an Oklahoma zoo. Now, I cannot pronounce this gentleman's last name. The zoo's founder, Joe Schreibvogel, Schreibvogel. I think I did a good job of there. Said the fire was most likely set by rogue animal rights activists who have been targeting the zoo. He said, of course, the building can be replaced, but the alligators and the other animals that were killed cannot be replaced. So we're supposed to be kind to animals and not even have zoos. And in order to try to facilitate not having zoos, they're going to set fires to zoos. And in the process of trying to set fire to these zoos and trying to free the animals, quote unquote, they're actually going to kill some of them. I wonder if they're weeping and having funerals in absentia for these animals that they killed. Really? I mean, are they going to have funeral processions? Are they going to, have the good old, Louisiana type of funeral march? And have a effigy to represent these animals that they killed with fires that they set? Yes, and if you missed that, I said kilt. Because that's the way young Americans talk today. They don't say killed, they say kilt. As in the thing that men in Scotland wear, that skirt that's really not a skirt, it's kilt. It's not a skirt, it's a kilt. So they kilt 8 animals by setting fire in hopes of freeing them, I guess. Now, I don't. You really got to wonder sometimes what these people are thinking. But they apply this same type of logic. You know what? We're going to burn down the zoo so we can save all the animals. But they apply that same logic to politics and into laws. we're going to prevent people from having free thought so we can preserve everybody's right to do what they want. Somehow that doesn't match. Because if you prevent people, if you introduce laws that prevent people from being who they are, how can they actually do what they want to do? Oh, it's only about the stuff that you approve, right, Mr. Lefty? So as long as the leftists, put their mark of approval on something, then it's legitimate, it's okay, and you can do it. If they don't put their mark of approval on something, well, then it's not okay. You can't do it. And you probably shouldn't do it. Now, I don't know about you. I kind of like, having my freedom to do what I want, without affecting somebody else's freedom and right to pursue happiness. But I don't know why we need to have laws that would force people to be able to have, their freedom to do what they want in their own bedroom. Do you? Well, you can't. One of the things I've learned is you cannot legislate morality. You can't. You just can't. You cannot legislate morality. There's no way to do that. Because somebody's going to figure out, well, that's not the way I want to do it. I don't want you to tell me how to live my life. And this is what leftists tell. Well, you can't tell me what to do. You tell them that, well, that's wrong. That kind of behavior is wrong. You can't tell me what to do. Hey, pull up your pants. You can't tell me what to do. Well, I don't want to service, people that break the laws of my God. And I really firmly believe that. Well, no, you can't do that. You have to do what we tell you to do. So what? You don't think that's hypocrisy? You don't think that is something that should not be allowed in public discourse, in the public setting, in the public square? Having you, look, I'm not telling you what you can and can't do in your own bedroom, but you're trying to tell me what I can and cannot do in my own business. But that's legitimate? Oh, I can't tell you, that you're being a hypocrite because, you don't really believe in human rights because you're doing business in another country that has an abysmal human rights record, but you're going to call me a hateful, profiteering, black-hearted monger. Oh, yeah, hypocrite.
Come on down to the newest pub in Texas, Rednecks, where our beer kegs are always full. Don't ask what brand it is, because it all tastes like warm piss. So if you're celebrating a special occasion, like marrying your sister,
I do.
I did, or being named Employee of the Month at Walmart, you're going to want to come celebrate with us at Redneck's Bar and Cantina. And remember, every Friday and Saturday, we have our famous tooth contest. Whoever has the most teeth wins a pair of John Deere mud flaps and a buttery corn on the cob. There's plenty of parking space to drive your house over to Redneck's and come on in and have a hell of a time. We're located right next to Big Al's truck stop, right across the street from the KKK headquarters.
Homos and minorities not welcome.
In a world where beer is served warm and flat, there is only one hope for beer drinkers. The Wooden Tap Bar and Grill presents Perfect Tap, an epic invention that ensures your favorite draft beer tastes better here than it does anywhere else. Critics call Perfect Tap mesmerizing. This is the way draft beer is supposed to taste. If you drink just one beer this year, make sure it comes from Perfect Tap. Now pouring exclusively at all 4 Wooden Tap locations. Wooden Tap! Come as you are.
Ripper the Clown may be a cartoon character come to life, but do you trust him with your votes on November 4th? Ripper the Clown wants to be mayor, sheriff, comptroller, and senator of Ripper County, but in a recent debate, he admitted that he didn't even know what a comptroller was. And then he offered free gas cards and fast food gift certificates to anyone who voted for him. He also offered free autographed copies of his new award-winning zombie novel, The Life and Minds, and Zombie Apocalypse of Ripper the Clown for those who cast votes in his favor. These are all violations of America's occasionally enforced voting laws. Do you want this inexperienced and sneaky clown with his finger on the button? Don't vote for Ripper the Clown. Paid for by people who hate Ripper the Clown. The people who hate Ripper the Clown are responsible for the content of this ad.
Let's talk about Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith. What do you know? Did you know that he's a naval hero? He single-handedly fought the Battle of Trafalgar in the waiting pool at the community center, freeing us from French tyranny. Did you know that he's an adventurer? Fighting the elements, he climbed Mount Everest in the frozen food section of the local grocery store to prove that anyone can achieve their dreams. He's a humanitarian. He found another cure for smallpox when, on a rainy day, climbed his aluminum ladder to the power lines to rescue a stray sperm whale. An energy pioneer. He discovered an unyet-named natural resource when he chewed the gum from underneath all the tables at the local pizza joint. And did you know that the only salary he takes is a few pieces of string, peat moss, and the occasional crow feather? Naval hero, adventurer, humanitarian, energy pioneer, and philanthropic volunteer. That's Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Pillar, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith. On Tuesday, remember to punch number 7 and vote for Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith for Village Idiot. He's what this city needs to feel better in the eyes of the world.
Paid for by the friends of Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith.
All hail the Messiah, blessed the new socialist motherland, our Savior, the leader more famous than Lindsay Lohan. Oh, down and praise the one. Give him your money and your guns. Give us a country that makes your wife proud. Lord, bury the bitter ones, white and clinging to faith and to guns. All for the change of the whole of the church.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
We are back for the last segment here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am still your lovable host, El Rod, and I'm still coming to you live from my Bunker Ice home studio. And somebody asked me, well, where in New Hampshire are you? Well, let's just say I'm in New Hampshire. That's the land of the free, and the granite state. You know, I have there's lots of granite around my house. Part of the foundation of this building is built on granite, so that should narrow it down. And I know they're probably thinking, well, geez, just about everything in New Hampshire is built on granite. Now, find the buildings that aren't, then, and then you'll know that I'm not there. And we actually pay people to go around to make to make sure that these old granite foundations in these old houses are solid and still standing and will hold up the house or building, because it's just not houses. I mean, office buildings, all these big brick buildings around here are built on these granite foundations. So there are people that specialize in in repairing, in sealing, waterproofing these types of foundations, and they get paid a lot of money. There's a company in Nashua, and they once. This really sounds kind of strange, but when I do marketing for small companies, so, I help them with their marketing. I consult with them and help them with their marketing and advertising, getting their product and service out. And they interviewed me, which is really kind of weird. They interviewed me basically as if they were going to hire me for a job and that they were going to pay me. But that's, hey, I don't work for you. I work for my own company. And but they were telling me about this new product that they had that they wanted to bring to market, and they wanted to see if I was the type of person that would or company that would be able to help them with their message and getting it out. And it basically was it's a new product. In other words, they invented it from the chemical level, and they had a chemist that helped them develop it. I was the founder and his friend. His friend was a chemist who went to MIT and stuff like that. And the founder was like a business major and all that kind of stuff. And they found each other, got together, and he said, maybe we should try to come up with this. And they spent a couple of years trying to develop from a chemical level this type of new waterproofing that would work on just about anything, especially on what they call open foundations, which are foundations that are made of rocks, rubble, granite, or even cinder blocks, because they have because you have to put them together, and there's mortar. Sometimes there's mortar, sometimes there's not. But they wanted to create this thing that really was a true waterproofer, but it was thin, in that it would actually penetrate into the rocks to really form a lasting bond. So it just wasn't something that was like paint that you coated on the outside and that could possibly peel off over time. Now, this was something that would actually penetrate the item, the rock or the stone or the cement, and bond with it so it could not peel off. And they came up with this stuff. And I guess, it's fairly non-toxic, although you're supposed to wear a respirator, but you don't have to wear like a full bodysuit when you're applying it, but you use it with a sprayer, like a paint sprayer. But they come in these big 55-gallon drums and such. And they have it in smaller versions. You can paint it on, but they prefer, the best way that they say is to spray it on. It gives you an even coat and adhesion. And it's really not for the do-it-yourselfer, it's for the professional. But this stuff is not cheap. It's not cheap. And then when you take into account that the people who actually apply this stuff, well, the government says that they have to have these certain kind of licenses and permits. So these employees are of these companies that do this type of work, because they don't sell it to the public. They sell it to, foundation waterproofing businesses, what have you. And they have to be licensed and have, different licenses and permits and all that kind of stuff in order to just open their doors. And then all their employees that actually use or spray the product on, they got to have certain licenses and permits and things like that. So they have to be trained in order to use, first they have to be trained in order to get their licenses, overall. And then they got to be trained how to use this particular product. So there's a lot of upfront cost to do this, not including the cost of the product itself. Now you toss in the cost of the product itself, and it's pretty expensive just to apply it. And then you throw in the fact that these employees that are going to be applying this to your basement wall are well-trained, licensed individuals that are not cheap. Their salaries are like $15, $20, $25 an hour. They're not cheap. So this whole process is not a cheap endeavor. So you're going to pay for it. But it works. So is it really all that expensive? By the way, that's American innovation that government didn't come up with. It was two private individuals that came up with a product, saw a problem out there, saw a need for something, developed a product that would fulfill or fit that need and solve that problem, and now they were out there trying to market it. And I didn't end up doing business with them because I didn't understand their industry. I didn't understand all the chemical. They were trying to show me the chemical formula, and that was my eyes kind of glassed over and glazed over. And I said, you know what, guys? This is great. I will probably someday use it on my house, but I can't help you market it because I don't understand it. Look, I'm honest. I'll tell people if I don't understand something, and I have been in the construction industry, so I know building. I know construction. I know old houses, too. An old structure, an old building. I know all the nuances of that, but this is something I didn't know anything about. I could not help them. My learning curve for that would have been too long and too great, and it would cost them too much for my expertise. Because there was a learning curve that they were going to have to pay me for. And I'm sure that there are other people out there that already knew that, and they did end up finding somebody who, believe it or not, was like had a master's in chemistry, and he was in marketing too, so he fully understood it. And look, I said, yeah, his company is the one you should go with because they understand it, and they can understand it. I don't. But that stuff is not cheap, and neither is the labor to apply it. But you can't apply it because they don't sell it to the homeowner yet. I don't know. Maybe they will at some point. Maybe you can find it at Home Depot now. I don't know. But you're going to have to, if you want this particular product that actually works and is going to work for the life of the foundation, this is a great product. And no, I'm not going to mention it on the air because I know somebody's going to say, well, why don't you tell us what? No, free advertising? No, I don't think so. With doing this, I also have an entrepreneurial mindset when doing the show. I'm kind of like, Rush doesn't like to give out free advertising either. So why should I? Neither does Sean Hannity or Mark Levin, and they don't. I don't use it. I can't give you the specifics of it because I don't know enough about it. I haven't used it yet in my own life. So how am I going to give you the name and say I endorse it? So I'm not going to give you the name. Sorry. But speaking of paying these people a lot of money, and they're worth their salary. They are. But understand, you're going to pay a pretty penny, not only because of the product is expensive, but because the labor is expensive. Even if the product was cheap, you still have to pay for the expensive labor. Well, here's a story out of Fox Business News. McDonald's is going to raise the hourly pay for 90,000 of its workers. That's right. McDonald's plans to raise pay by more than 10% and add benefits like paid vacation for workers at U.S. restaurants that McDonald's Corporation actually operates, not its franchisees, but the ones that McDonald's actually operates. And they're saying this is an effort to rejuvenate the struggling fast food giant that offers fresh evidence of rising wage pressure in American labor market. There is no rising wage pressure at the moment. There are too many people unemployed. The problem is that there's wage deflation problems. In other words, the real value of the dollar that you're earning at work is falling prey to even the smallest amount of inflation. It's not keeping up because, if you walk into your boss and say, okay, I demand a 15% raise this year, and your boss will look at you and say, and open his file drawer of like 1,000 resumes and says, you sure you want a 15% raise? And you say, yes, I do. Okay, do me a favor. Grab that box in the corner over there. Pack your stuff. You're fired. I'm going to replace you with somebody that I can pay 10% less than you're already earning. And they'll be happy to have the job. That's what a lot of people are facing. This is why there hasn't been a lot of increase in wages over the past few years. Because there's too many people unemployed. And so regardless of what the government says, there's only 5.5% unemployment, that's a lie. Because if there was only 5.5% unemployment, if that was a true number, there would be pressure on increase. You would see government reporting wages increasing like crazy, like they did under the Clinton economic bubble and under the Bush economy. Under Bush, what would we get as low as 4.3% on? What is it? 4.5% or something like that is considered full unemployment. In other words, everybody who really wants a job at 4.5% unemployment has a job. And it was below that. The unemployment rate, U6 number, was below that. So if you wanted to have somebody come work for you, you were going to have to pull them away from another job or another employer, and you were most likely going to have to increase what they were already earning. So there was this annual increase in the average salary of Americans here in this country during that time. We're not seeing that now. So this is, folks think, well, geez, you watch Fox. No, I'm blaming Fox for telling a lie in their story. There is no wage pressure upwards, except from the left who are saying, well, yeah, the minimum wage should be $15. That's not pressure. That's just stupidity. If you give in to that kind of stupidity, you're stupid too. There is no demand for that. Because frankly, if you're going to give a person $15 an hour for flipping burgers and dipping fries into a hot oil, well, what do you think that person who had to do all that training in order to spray on that waterproofing in your basement is going to earn? What do you think he's going to be able to demand? Well, let me see. McDonald's used to get $8 or $9 an hour. Now they're getting $15. So let's just round it, make it easy math, and say, okay, they got a $5 an hour raise. Well, I'm making $20 an hour. Well, I should get a $5 raise an hour. So now I should be making at least $25 an hour. Well, who do you think is going to pay that extra $5 an hour? And then some. Because understand, it's just not the employer paying $5 an hour. There's an increase in payroll taxes to that too. So the whole that employee who was at $20 may have cost the employer $40, but now because they're getting $25, that now costs the employer close to $50 an hour to have that employee. So who's going to pay that? You, the customer. So that job that originally is going to cost $1,500 probably now just went up to $2,000 or $2,500. You're paying it. And at the same time, you're thinking, well, geez, my costs are going up. I should get a raise. And now you got inflation. And now that $15 an hour is the same as earning $8 or $9 an hour. They don't get ahead. You can't force wages up. Government cannot force wages up because when they do that, all it does is increase inflation. And when inflation increases, it wipes out the gain that they got from the fake raise in the minimum wage. That's just economics 101, folks. It's not hard to figure out. And trust me, most liberals know this. They're not dumb. They fully understand it. So don't think for a minute that they don't. They fully understand it. But hey, if you want to buy into it. But anyway, starting July 1st, McDonald's will pay at least $1 per hour more than the local legal minimum wage for employees at roughly 1,500 restaurants it owns in the USA. The increase, which McDonald's said will apply to some 90,000 workers at all levels of experience and rank, will lift the average hourly rate for its U.S. restaurant employees to $9.90 on July 1st, and more than $10 by the end of 2016, from the current average rate of $9 an hour. Well, McDonald's will also enable workers after a year of employment to accrue up to 5 days of paid time off annually. You get a paid vacation from flipping burgers. Now, All I can say is that, if you notice that the price of your Big Mac goes up a little bit, you'll know why. Because the company isn't going to take a hit on its profit margin by paying its employees more. No, they're going to raise their prices and make you pay for that. That's the way it works. It's kind of like when the left says, business needs to pay more in taxes. Well, businesses don't pay taxes. The consumer pays all the taxes for the business in the form of prices. So if they raise taxes, the business is going to say, you know what? Well, yeah, everybody's going to have to raise their price a little bit because their taxes have increased. So we're going to pass our increase on because, we're not going to take a hit on our profit margin. So our prices are going to have to rise. Look, this stuff is not hard to understand. It's not hard to understand at all. Even the regular, Jane and Joe liberal understand this. The only people who don't seem to understand it are the leadership liberals and the radical liberals. Because everybody thinks, well, especially if we've got millions and millions of Americans on minimum wage that are working these jobs to support a family, which is also not true. The vast majority of minimum age workers are unskilled workers under the age of 25. Most of them don't have families yet. And indeed, they shouldn't have a family yet. Especially if they're a 16-year-old working at the record store or McDonald's. This is an astonishingly good Iran deal. For whom? This is from Vox.com. When Aaron Stein was studying nuclear nonproliferation at Middlebury College's Monterey graduate program, I didn't know there was such a course of study, but hey, there's a course of study for everything nowadays. The students would sometimes construct what they thought would be the best possible nuclear inspection and monitoring regimes or regimens. Years later, Stein is now a Middle East and nuclear proliferation expert with the Royal United Services Institute, and he says the Iran Nuclear Framework Agreement announced on Thursday looked an awful lot like those ideal hypotheticals he used to put together in grad school. Again, that's grad school on paper. So we have all these supposedly smart people who are out there giving away this type of stuff, thinking that they're so smart, that this is going to work, when they're not realizing that in the real world, Iran cannot be trusted. They've had deals in the past. They've reneged on those deals. They've not let people, the UN or other inspectors, in to inspect their facilities. Iraq did the same thing. So now all of a sudden, because, he went to grad school and this is, this deal looks almost exactly like the kind of stuff that they did in grad school, a bunch of know-nothings at the time trying to learn about this kind of stuff, now this is a good deal because that's what it looks like. And he's familiar with that. Well, it's only a good deal if Iran sticks to it. What if they don't stick to it? Well, it is what it is, folks. That's all I can say. It is what it is. I don't, hey. You can, when Iran actually breaks their pledge or prevents somebody from from inspecting their nuclear facilities, or they say, we now have the nuclear bomb, I'm going to stand there with Benjamin Netanyahu and say, see, I told you so. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out of time for the night, so we'll be back. So you be back too. Until then, I'm out.